Hello, Laura O'Sullivan. You are the sales manager UK for Rubberdesk, with companies from Australia. Could you briefly tell us more about Rubberdesk?
Of course, yes. So we are a marketplace for flexible office space. Rubberdesk was founded in Australia, and in 2020, I launched the UK office. So our co-founders, Jim and David, they launched in Australia and then they wanted to expand into the UK. And because of my background with being both on the broker and operator side, they brought me on board and we launched about 2 weeks before COVID.
Nice. We are having this discussion because you released a post on Allwork recently saying that London was the worldwide capital of managed office and managed office is becoming a thing. Why do you think, would you say that London is such a hotspot for managed office and maybe more than anywhere else?
I think the market in London is super developed when it comes to flexible office space in general. I think that landlords saw an opportunity. I think that post-COVID, clients who are coming out of leasehold spaces are no longer looking for that long-term commitment. They're looking for flexibility, but they're still looking for their own brand identity and control. And I think that the managed product kind of developed naturally. So we have new spaces coming on board on the Rubberdesk platform every week. I think that they serve a purpose for a client who is again looking for something in between a lease and a serviced space. And they also help the landlords to fill that void.
Because managed office explained like this is not something new. You had operators in place like Workspace Group and GPE and some others in the UK that are pretty unique players with the dimension they have. We're providing with service private office, but for your own. What is the difference nowadays, would you say, as opposed to maybe 10 years ago, where those guys were already operating?
Sure. So I think the difference now is that there's just a huge amount of variation. So the managed product kind of sits perfectly in between both your serviced or co-working product and your leasehold product. In previous times, clients were just looking, the term managed basically in times gone past was typically where you had a space that you leased from the landlord and was managed by a third party. However, the market has developed now and we have spaces that are still delivered in this way, but then we also have spaces that are managed by the landlords, and we also have huge landlords like GPE coming on board to deliver their own product. And then we have management companies who are delivering products on behalf of landlords. So I think the market has developed in that there are now various different ways in which the product is delivered. So as an example, I had a client view this week. She specifically was looking for something managed because they don't want to hire an office manager. They don't want to have to look after maintenance in the building. They want a space that they can get into relatively quickly, and they want a more flexible term. So we viewed 8 buildings, and of those 8 buildings, many of them were delivered in different ways. So we viewed options directly with the landlord. We viewed options with the landlord agents, and we also viewed options with the management companies. So I think that's the way in which the market has developed, is that there's far more choice. And that's where our role is really important at the moment, to be an advisor for our clients, to be upfront with them from the very beginning as to the different types of spaces that are available.
To an extent, you see the demand changing. Would you say the demand is properly outlined? They know exactly what they need, or they have a level of awareness, or they are totally illusioned about what is in the market, or things that are available and they believe they are not, or the contrary? What is your perception when you work daily with those leads?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think we definitely have to educate. Pre-COVID, I remember we had to educate people on what a serviced office was, which is crazy. We don't have to do that anymore. Like, everybody knows what that is. I think surprisingly, more clients than you would suspect know what a managed office is, but we definitely still have to explain. Some clients do come thinking that if they know what a managed office is, it's going to be like a really straightforward process, that it's going to be a 12-month license agreement. And I have to educate them that no, it's still going to be a lease. The landlord's still going to want a longer term commitment. It's still going to want to be a lease. It's going to take 3 months to close. You absolutely have to educate. And sometimes they might think that they want a managed space, but actually a service space is far more suitable for the client if they're looking for something shorter term. So I might have a client who says, I want to move in 30 days. And I'll straight away say, okay, we need to look at serviced spaces. Or they might say, I want a space for 6 months. And I might say, okay, we can't look at managed spaces. I think sometimes clients have the perception that they can have the same level of flexibility, but it's not the same. It's not a lease, but it's definitely less flexible than the service offering. So you do have to educate the clients. And often I suggest both options. I often have clients who will view both managed and serviced options.
When you say service, that's something also that we struggle with because the terminology is varying by country.
Yeah.
So serviced office is basically something that can be delivered as a private office, but in what we could call co-working space or service office space, where you share communal areas with some other amenities. Whereas a managed office would be something more private, more of your own. The amenities are just for you. Is it the right way to put it?
Absolutely. I think the term service is probably a little dated. I think probably the word flex is quite a good term. Although I find with the word flex that often my clients might come and say, oh, I'm not looking for anything flexible. They might think that flex automatically means we work a 3-month term, co-working. So yeah, there are so many different terms out there, and you do have to do a bit of educating.
Something very interesting you are also mentioning is that the lines are blurring even further. You said that some managed office pure players, GP and Workspace Group, were themselves providing now in some of their building communal areas, and it was in demand. Whereas in the co-working space or service office space, there were a rising demand for having a private meeting room within the private office.
So when we have a client looking for a service space, if they're over 15 desks, nearly always part of their requirement is going to be a private meeting room a lot of the time. And going back over the years, we had to focus on availability where there was a meeting room already built into the space. So where a previous client had maybe come along and spent the money to build that meeting room. I had a client move into the beautiful Beaumont building on New Bridge Street recently, and they built their own meeting room. Luckily, whoever comes after that, that's going to be built for them. But what we are seeing more and more is where the operator had built them with private meeting rooms already in place, which is fantastic. It's fantastic because it's exactly what the clients are looking for, and they don't have to spend the money.
You are also saying that now, as opposed to pre-COVID, companies now plan ahead the budget for the amenities because they want the people back in the office, even a couple of days a week. No part of the cost, they are ready to support amenities, meeting rooms, and the coffee and the gym and things like that. What about that? Is it becoming the norm as well, to some extent?
Absolutely, yeah. If people are going to ask their staff to come back into the office, they have to give them a reason to come back in. And also, they're expecting their staff to spend money on the commute. Maybe they can give them a gym membership. Maybe they can make sure that the office is dog friendly so that they can bring their pets in who they got during COVID. Amenities are something that are asked for all of the time. People would often say, we don't need any frills. We don't care if it has a roof terrace or a cafe. And since COVID, almost all of the briefs that we get through, clients are looking for the amenities. We want it to be dog friendly. We want outside space. We want large breakout areas. We want meeting rooms. We would love a gym. End of trip facilities as well are so important, like showers and bike racks. So all of these have become just standard in the briefs that we see.
And to some extent now, for SMEs with less people than 50, flex, service, manage is the norm in London more than anything else, right?
Even sometimes if we have a client who comes to us and they might be open to a lease, or they might be in a lease and they might say, oh, we're thinking about renewing our lease. Once they understand the options available to them now, and once they understand that there is actually a managed product available to them, which gives them the best of both worlds, like they don't need the commitment, oftentimes that's the route that they might take if they're coming out of a lease. Or again, they'll know exactly what they want and they'll go into a flexible space because they'll see the benefits of it. Because it's not anymore, it's not just a stepping stone anymore, or it's not just for startups. It's becoming the norm.
Excellent. That's a nice word of conclusion. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Laura, for sharing
Thanks
the
for
insights.
having me.
And yes, all the best with the upcoming things in business. We hope to see you in Paris. We have the Coworking Europe conference in Paris in
Absolutely.
November. And take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.